Forget about the stories you've read in history books. Our food customs are our most direct connection to the world of the past. This is history that you can touch, smell, and above all, taste.
It's lovely.
The rituals of breakfast, lunch and dinner are something I think we take for granted, as if they have always existed as they are now.
I think I'd have preferred it fried. You'd have a heart attack by lunchtime.
But unpick the stories of our three main meals and you discover gastronomic revolutions, technological leaps and sometimes gruesome realities.
Decay is also going to cause really bad breath.
Yes, I think I've had boyfriends like that.
I never miss a good meal, but food is about more than just filling up. There's a rich and complex history to our daily meal times, and that's what I'm setting out to explore.
Right, dig in.
I believe lunch is the most important meal of the day. It's the workhorse meal, the one we use to refuel. But for most of us, it's just a quick pit stop squeezed between two slices of our workday. People eat it in a speedy average of 12 minutes, 49 seconds, barely even noticing their food. You certainly won't find me eating like that. I believe passionately in proper cooking and taking time over a decent meal. We've lost our relationship to food and the time it takes to prepare and eat it. In the not-so-distant past, we respected lunch as we had done for centuries. In the 19th century, chop houses like this one in the heart of the City of London were where hungry urban workers came for refreshment. This is one of the last remaining authentic chop houses still serving traditional Victorian food. I've come to sample it with historian and fellow lunch enthusiast A.N. Wilson.
Oh, look at that.
Oxtail,
Fantastic.
red cabbage to share,
Oh, very nice, thank you.
and the chomp chops. Thank you.
Oh, I say. This will keep us out of mischief, won't it? Well, me, anyway. You've got about 4 times what I've got. Why did chop houses start emerging all over London? In the 19th century, London is becoming more and more the commercial centre of Britain. The empire. And Britain is becoming the centre of this enormous empire throughout the world. And so there were more and more people crowding into London just to work who hadn't had breakfast or hadn't had very much breakfast, and there was a long time till dinner. They were working in London for long hours. Yeah. And by the middle of the day, your tummy was rumbling. So you wanted a chop, as I would jolly well do today, actually. I'm enjoying it myself. And it would have been a mutton chop, rather than... It would have been a mutton chop. This is a lamb chop. But you can't have everything in this life, Clarissa. I mean, a chump chop in mutton terms would be much bigger. It would have been a much bigger thing because it's both sides of the bone. All the same, this is extremely good.
By the mid-19th century, the Industrial Revolution had triggered a gigantic social upheaval. Suddenly, the big city beckoned with new kinds of labouring and clerical jobs. People responded by adopting new living and working patterns.
Many of the people who worked in the city came here from the suburbs or even out of London by train every day. They could come on the railway for the first time. Commuting had begun. Of course.
The Victorian chop house lunch focused heavily on generous portions, and quite right too. A belly full of protein would get you through the afternoon. Victorian office workers were allocated a full hour for their lunch break. I had the same when I worked at the Inns of Court, and provided the restaurants are efficient, it's enough time for a relaxed meal and far preferable to eating at one's desk.
That sausage looks very magnificent.
Would you like some?
I'll take a little off.
Have some. Chop houses served an ordinary or fixed-price menu with little or no choice. Nose-to-tail eating, that's eating every part of the entire animal, was very common for the cheaper dishes on offer. What I'm having would have been probably one of the ordinaries of the day, one day of the week, because oxtail is awful, you know, it's very cheap.
And delicious.
It is absolutely beautiful.
I mean, the thing about these places is they are for the middling sorts of focus, just our way to call them, and lower classes, lower middle classes, really.
The speciality of the house is a secret recipe of stewed cheese. Bring on the cheese!
Oh, I say.
There we go.
This dish was a chop house staple and a version of what we now know as Welsh rabbit.
Fantastic. I think this is a very, very old way of eating cheese. I mean, they'd have mixed it up with a bit of beer and a bit of cream or something, wouldn't they? Some mustard. Absolutely delicious.
Very nice.
Of course, the funny thing is, here we are having a reconstruction of a 19th century lunch, but one thing that you probably wouldn't have had as a Victorian lunch would be a woman. Wonderful it is to be having lunch with you. I'm afraid if we were having an authentic Victorian experience, Rosie wouldn't be here.
But I might have squeaked through because I was barrister, and barristers are gentlemen by statute.
You're a gentleman in every sense of the word, if I may say so.
So kind. The Victorian chop house was drawing on a long tradition of eating well in the middle of the workday. In medieval times, food was, by necessity, prepared and eaten during daylight hours. The main meal dividing the workday was then called dinner, and was taken earlier, around 10 a.m. after 5 hours of work, followed by a light supper at 4 p.m. The word lunch